welcome to another edition of the Big Joel Show. Very exciting. I've got my good friend Ernie Carswell of Carswell Associates coming in hot from Beverly Hills, California today. Ernie is a real estate agent. That's a very much of an understatement with Douglas Elliman in Los Angeles in the Beverly Hills office. There's lots more to Ernie's story. And I'm excited to have Ernie here today. He's been selling real estate for a long time, but everybody remember you're 20 years old, correct? So when you say 30 years, that means you're 50, right?
I think we're going to say that.
For the group to do the math.
Absolutely.
For the group to do the math.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right.
And I'm excited to talk with Ernie. Ernie has a unique business. He has a unique team, as teams go, for those of you watching that have real estate teams or that are interested in teams. And Ernie also is a master mentor. The people that work with him, I don't even like to say for him, the people that work with him are there for the Ernie mentoring. And just because I have to, Ernie is also currently a co-star in Kendra Sells Hollywood. So technically, I'm in the graces of some type of celebrity today. So it's all good. It's all good. So Ernie, tell us you live in Los Angeles. Tell the story. When did you get into real estate? Or you can back it up even before then. I know you've been selling real estate for a while, but tell the story of how you ended up in California, because I know you were selling real estate in New York as well, right? Before, a little bit, or not really?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell everyone the story so they've got the backdrop.
I'm happy to do that, and I can't start without saying Big Joel in the big studio next to the White House, next to the center of power of the world. I feel pretty elevated today, Joel, in your presence.
Excellent.
In your presence.
All right.
So we've got a good platform here to start. It's true. I began my real estate journeys actually in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
In the 80s, and then migrated northeast to New York City. And as you know, in residential real estate practice, when you move cities, you start at the bottom rung again and try to rise up.
Right.
And then in the early 90s, I moved to Los Angeles, particularly Beverly Hills, and started all over again. So I consider myself a 3-time startup.
There you go.
3 major U.S. cities, and just love the business and love the difference in all those city markets as well.
And they are very different. And for those of you that don't understand the Los Angeles market, those of you watching that are not California people, California is, we all say it starts on the west and comes east, basically, but it's a very unique real estate market. I mean, people, the common, not the common person, but anyone not from California is constantly marveling at how could it cost that much, for a starter 3-2? How is it even possible? Who's affording that house? And then they have to really go back and look at that. The people that have bought, they've just kind of rolled up into it. They're just moving their equity forward. And the rest of us not from there go, wait, what? Who would pay that for that? And then you go there and you hang out a little bit and you realize, pretty nice weather out here. So now, and there's a kind of a nice view. So you realize, not to mention, obviously, it's the center of entertainment. I think Nashville's making a play, but it's the center of entertainment for the world. So
it truly is. So look, in LA, the real estate, you're paying for the weather. You're not paying for the square footage or the beautiful views. You're paying for perfect weather. And if every other city on the planet could buy perfect weather, they would. But we've got it, and so we sell it.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah. So Ernie, talk a little bit about today. You and I have talked about this. You are at this point, not at the beginning, but you're considered a luxury agent, top of your game in that market. And luxury, I think we defined as in where you are, 7.5 million and above. It's different in each city. I think right. DC is like 3 or 4 million and above. New York, I've been told, is 5 point whatever, sort of luxury. But you also have a team, but I want to explain to everyone, this team in real estate is this sexy thing, team. And most of these teams are built, everyone's got to have a team. And most of these teams are built with agents really being undercompensated. And then what the team, I'm going to call it owner, general manager, the team owner really is in the business of hiring and firing, because the team players get really good and they leave, or they're not any good and they sit there. Your team is different because you have way more experienced agents paid at a much higher split than a traditional team. And they're there to be associated with you and to be associated with all the things that your team brings them. Talk a little bit about one of your main passions, which is mentoring, and something that I know you're moving more and more into. And for those of you that don't know, when Ernie and I talk, it's 5 a.m. his time, and he's been up for a little bit. So he's a worker. He's working. And so I know you're starting to think about focusing some of that work by pouring into people, not necessarily selling another house. Exactly. And talk about that and your passion. We were talking last night a little bit. It was very interesting what you were saying about the real estate business in general, because I think it's one of the greatest businesses ever. I think you agree. I think it's you're dropped in the middle of, they say that the most stressful things in life are death of a family member, divorce, buying or selling a house is number 3, meaning the emotional piece of that. You're thrust in the middle, and if you could figure it out, it's an incredible career. I love to hear you talk about that a lot, where there's going to be lots of agents watching this. There's going to be brand new agents. There's going to be experienced agents. There's going to be agents that had a real big 20 and 2021 that are thinking, what happened? Yep. The bottom dropped out. And I think you got great wisdom for everyone. So take it wherever you want. I just love to hear your wisdom.
Well, the air is out of the balloon in the market pretty much right now, right? But we all enjoyed that lift we had post pandemic, where there was just an unexpected boom across America, and certainly Los Angeles led that charge. We had it first because, back to the weather, we live in an indoor-outdoor lifestyle 12 months of the year. But what we're talking about here is the career choice of residential real estate, and let's even elevate that to the luxury level, which exists in every city. Every little
city.
Town across America, there is always somebody's neighborhood that's the luxury neighborhood for that little farm town, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a passion I have that's industry driven for me right now, in that I'm concerned about our industry, Joel. I want us as real estate agents to remain essential in the equation of the transaction when someone purchases their home or their condominium or they lease a home. And what I see happening in the last 15 years out in the media, may we even admit some of these reality TV shows that began about real estate and they call themselves reality and they're anything but reality. But the problem that has developed is the American public, the audience watching those shows, they believe that's who we all are and what we do. And I have a concern about this, and it's now become my modus operandi and my new charge at this stage of my experienced career, to try to preserve the ethics and principles that are bedrock for my team, our pedigree. We are known in the city of Beverly Hills and widespread across LA as the team that has high regard for all of our colleagues and our peers. We treat our clients with respect, no matter what their price level is, whether they're leasing or buying. Everyone is treated as they would want to be treated by us. But I've seen this erosion across our industry because of the opportunists who have come into our group of sales force.
Your ranks.
They're just chasing the money. Oh my gosh. I got into this not chasing the money. I got into this business as a much younger man, chasing the dream of helping others and having no ceiling for what I could do or achieve, whether it's, going in this direction or that direction. I could make as much money as I wanted, or I could have as much time off as I wanted. Obviously, when you become successful, there is no time off. So watch out, everybody.
Right. If negates that real quick. Yeah.
I was naive about that back in Texas. I thought, I'd like a job where I could pick the days I work.
Right.
Well, that soon, ended because I realized 7 days a week are the days I'll be working.
Right, yeah.
But if you love it, it doesn't feel like work. it doesn't feel like work. You get involved in the relationships of your clients, the relationships with your peers and colleagues, and you're grooming and minding all of those relationships. And somehow you're selling houses. So I'm not a numbers guy focused, as you know, because you work with me very closely. I have people on my team. I have a great staff that are very numbers oriented. So I can have access to the numbers and my production levels if I need it. But it's not what drives me. What drives me is this industry and what we do. I consider it's very much like the medical world. You know, we all care about which doctor is going to check us out, and we want that doctor to care about us, right? We don't want to just take a number and then the insurance company sends us a bill, which we go, what? We want to feel like the doctor cares about our health. Well, the same thing should be true about real estate agents, and the clients we serve should feel that agent cares about us and is doing the right thing. I want that to be what everyone believes about their real estate agent. And the ones that can't deliver that service, I'm sorry, find another career, because we want
and they're tapping out right now because they're thinking, what just happened?
Exactly.
The bottom just fell out, and I'm looking at it like, please feel free to hand your license in. Please move out of the way if you're not going to do this the right way. Please move out of the way as quickly as possible. So for somebody, instead of somebody new, somebody that maybe they got in the business in 2019 and learned a little, just enough, and then caught the wave. I mean, March and April, the sky was falling. Everything was over in 2020. The world is ending, and then suddenly, kaboom! May, the market was on fire. And even in certain areas, and I don't know if you know this about Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, they were actually prohibited from selling real estate for a period of time. They had to go to the state house and have it overturned because of COVID. Agents were out wearing, complete hazmat suits showing houses because no one would let them in there. But suddenly it just kaboom. And you referenced this, and some people caught it, some people didn't. When you said Los Angeles had a big benefit, or really California, it's because of remote work. You can live wherever you want. So why am I living in Poughkeepsie, whatever, why am I living here where it rains every day and I can live there? And it doesn't really matter. It's the same. There's no commute because I'm not going to the office anymore. So why wouldn't I go where the nicest weather is? It's why all the resort areas boomed, all the coast, East Coast, all of Florida. I mean, everywhere just boomed, because why would you want to, most people live where they live because they don't want to drive more than 30 minutes to their office.
Right.
And that whole thing changed. What would you say to these agents that are sitting around right now, just whining and complaining, literally just call me a ambulance, about the market, because they had a good 2 years and they thought, oh, this is normal. What types of things do they need to do right now to dig in? And then I want to ask you about a brand new agent, but what types of things these people need to do to dig in? The other thing you said very quickly, you said the word work many times. You said 7 days many times. By the way, this is not a commercial for working 7 days a week. By the way, what Ernie was saying is you do what you got to do, meaning you work when you need to work and you work smart. Well, what kind of advice would you give that 2017-18 agent, they caught the wave and suddenly just the bottom fell out for them? What would you say?
I would say if you got into this industry and you live on instant gratification, this is your invitation to leave it, because this is not an instant gratification career, okay? What goes up will come down, speaking of the market dynamic.
Right.
And what comes down will go back up.
Yeah.
But you know what? Not on your own timing. You've got to learn how to survive the down markets and thrive in the up markets. And when you're thriving, you're saving money to survive the down markets.
You might want to say that louder.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are busy buying Airbnbs that they can no longer rent out because they're 28-day minimums now.
Exactly. The thing is that I love the personnel choices of who should be on the sales force serving this industry. And it needs to be those professional mindsets that understand this is going to take time. We're building something. We're building a relationship with the client. The market is changing constantly under our feet. We have no ceiling on how much money we can make or how far we can succeed and achieve all type of goals for our clients and for ourselves. But if you have a problem with instant gratification, you are not going to feel good in this business ever. So look, our business is down in Los Angeles 40% from last year.
Today.
40% less
Right.
transactions happening now in LA than were happening last year. I have a team of 28. I think that's how many we have today. 28 agents and staff. And let me tell you, there's some glum faces, because we had some heady experiences just 2 years ago. But I keep inspiring and guiding my crew to understand this is what happens. And many of them were not in the business in the big bust of 2008, but we survived that. That was a much worse market and pretty hopeless compared to what I'm seeing now. This is just what I think. The market is stuck. We're kind of flatlining out in California, but I'm holding my own because if you can be patient as a professional and you've saved some of the earnings you made in the heady 21 and 22 years, then what's the worry?
Well, we talked about this.
expecting?
I talk about this all the time. Take 18, 19, 20,
Yeah.
21, 22, and 6 months of 23, which is 66 months. Add it all together and divide by 66, then multiply times 12. That's your income. It's not what you made in 2021.
Exactly.
That is not what your income was. If you made, 400, 500, a million, a million five, 300, and you're clipping 300 again, you gotta average it. That's real estate. You can't, it's sage advice what you're saying, the instant gratification. I haven't had someone say it just like that. It's going to be good for people to hear that. And I think that because of how real estate is in general, it creates instant gratification people, not understanding that it's a long tail. Relationships are a marathon, not a sprint. And they're sprinting. And boy, if you had a real estate license, I say this, people get mad at me when I say it all the time. I'm like, if you didn't print money in 20 and 2021 and part of 2022, something is wrong. You could have stood on a corner with a sign that says real estate, and someone would have pulled over and said, hey, you literally, this is taking nothing away from the success of anyone. But if you weren't successful by your own standards in those 2 years, I'm like, what were you doing?
Right.
I mean, it was just on fire. I mean, you could have probably worked till 12 midnight and added more transactions if you wanted. It was a point where you're like, I got to turn it off for a minute. It was so crazy. And this is not just Los Angeles. This whole country.
Across the country.
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. People moving around everywhere. Now, do you see? From the remote work part? And I know that your market is a little different. So get out of your own necessarily your clients right now. Look down a little bit. Are employers where you are people going back in the office, or is it still really remote work from what you're seeing? Not necessarily the larger luxury stuff. That is a different clientele. I'm talking the people that have jobs, that have salaries, and they're supposed to be doing things. Are they going back at all where you are, or no?
Not many of them that we see. Remember, Los Angeles having such a huge percentage of our client base work in entertainment, okay? Whether they're the talent in front of the camera or whether they're on the directing end or they're writers.
They never went to an office, so it doesn't matter.
That's right. Most of them are working from home or have big office suites at home. I saw the home of Jeffrey Katzenberg, just where he started DreamWorks, and he started it in the guest house, and that was pretty amazing at a house.
That's where his office always was.
It was.
Right.
Until DreamWorks explodes, and then they need to build a studio to house all the employees.
Right.
But most of our city, a lot of the creatives and a lot of the affluent do have home offices. But back to, what about all the other office buildings in a major city like Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Many of them are just semi-occupied now, whereas in 2019, they were all fully
Like Century City was
Fully.
just packed.
Yeah.
And now it's quarter filled, third, maybe?
You can tell at night how many lights are not on
Right.
in the office suites. So I don't know, Joel, because I'm not in commercial, but they have to be 30% down at least from their capacity or where they were in 2019, maybe more.
So that doesn't necessarily affect your market. People were thinking as people were going to go back, that maybe it would spur the market a little because some people had bought homes so far away, classic in New York City, classic. People went right up in the Hudson Valley. I mean, they went 2 hours north and said, well, I don't have to be in the city anymore, so why would I not want to live on 2 acres with a pool and, instead of concrete jungle? And then suddenly, hey, I need you back in the office 3 days a week, which means, 2-hour commute each way, whether you're on a train or a car, would that person sell their house? And I think there was a thought there, would they start to sell those houses to create inventory? But I'm really not seeing that happen.
I'm worried because we are witnessing a major cultural shift about what the workplace definition means today. And it's all post-pandemic, because before this unknown thing hit our society back in 2020, you had your work address and where you worked, and then of course you had your home, and then you had your play places, for vacation and your beach house or whatever.
Right.
Now all of that's skewed, and the society we witness out in California is figuring out something else. Let's not even talk about artificial intelligence, but let's just talk about how the definition of where I work is changing quickly. And I have concerns about that. Look, if it ends up being that basically the future has people working from home, well, I want to be in real estate then, because we just became even more important.
It's a very good place to be. That's right.
I believe in this career choice. I'm just going to say it till you have to put me in the ground.
Right.
But whatever happens, I see that our career and our jobs should be required and by society, and I'm trying to prevent it from becoming a robotic experience. As many companies have come in and just buy on the computer, or we'll buy your house for you, and then this needs the personal touch.
I personally will stand by it. Not that I used to say, high tech, low touch equals no money. High touch, low tech equals big money.
Yeah,
I said that 20 years ago. Now I say high touch, high tech, meaning you need both. But I still feel in any circumstance whatsoever, except maybe a minute circumstance, relationship always trumps technology.
absolutely.
Because even the most persnickety young purchaser, if they can afford to buy something, that's a problem unto itself. The young purchaser who does not want to talk to anyone, they just want to text or email, there's a point in every real estate transaction where they want to talk to someone. Suddenly, they want to talk to someone, and that person needs to be there. Now, does that mean there might be less of you doing more? Sure, but you're still there.
Right.
Because they want to talk to someone.
And they want to talk to someone they can trust, or they know has information that's going to help them make their decisions for their family.
That maybe they can't Google.
Exactly.
Right.
Because look, the great thing about the internet is any definition and any question you have, you just ask it and you'll get some pretty good information back.
Right.
It doesn't substitute for the human touch. For someone, look, in the hospital, I don't want a robotic machine coming around asking me how I'm feeling. I want some doctor. I want a person to ask me how I'm feeling,
So what would you say to young people entering real estate? And it's I talk about this all the time. I tell young people, 22, 23, 24-year-olds, I'm like, you get into real estate right now. You start right now. 5 years from now, you'll be the highest earner of any of your friends. And I don't care if people went to med school, doesn't matter. You'll be number one. They'll all be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And for some reason, yes, there have been times when it's been very sexy to be an agent. 2021, very sexy. 2003, 2004, 2005, it was very sexy. When it was like a roller coaster, only going downhill at 100 miles an hour. I think a lot of young people miss this career because they look at it the wrong way. Yeah. Maybe they even look at it like it's some kind of unprofessional career. And it's really, man, as a young person, when you talk about this is a long tail, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You start your marathon when you're 22 or 23. Boy, oh boy, can you be positioned very well before you're 30 years old. Again, to go back, there's no quick fix. Nothing's going to happen in 10 seconds. But if you work, what would you tell someone thinking about that might be watching this? Maybe they just got in. Maybe they're in the middle of getting their license. Where would you have them start? What kind of advice would you give that person to start this as a career?
Well, Joel, I have the privilege of having a lot of young talent come to me whether it's just post-college for them or they're coming from a job after college that they didn't like. And they come into interview hoping to get on our team and hoping to get into real estate. And I listen to their reasons. And sometimes I try not to change my facial expression to them, but I'm just like so disappointed. I'm like, oh God, you have no business thinking about this career. They'll say, well, I like houses. Or I like people. I mean, there's just no vision. And they're making a snap judgment from what they've even either seen on TV or what they assume real estate agents do. There's no connection.
That's a thing. That's a real thing. The TV thing. Is that what you're
I've
saying?
got to tell you, I'm on
because
on my soapbox.
there's enough shows based around real estate on all the networks that it really, I didn't really, I think probably subconsciously, but consciously, it never really hit me that that's what people think.
Yes, they think that's true. And my concern about that, because the shows, these are Hollywood shows that are just trying to go for drama and for, making agents, fight with each other, all this stuff, or depict that like that's the way we're built. I won't mislead anyone. There's always a bad apple in every barrel, and any profession, medical, legal, political, bad apples everywhere. But you can't define an entire industry by a couple of bad apples and their behavior. But these shows emphasize it, and it begins to be blanket across the board that's what people
So the young
think
people, so what you find is a lot of the young people that are coming to you that want to work with you have that somewhere in there, that vision, that's what they think it is.
I want a set of keys to show some pretty houses, and I'm going to dress really cute today. And if anybody in real estate tries to beat me out, I'm going to give them my chew them out.
And it couldn't be more from the truth.
How do you build a career of respect thinking like that? That's not.
So what do those young people really need to understand? What would you tell them? How would you describe you're a new person, younger, or maybe even in the business a couple years, and you haven't had a good mentor? Because my first thing would be if I was interviewing right now to get into real estate, I would be interviewing you as hard as you're interviewing me, because I would want to be a sponge around whoever my call it mentor was. Because I'm of the belief, we could talk about this because I'm curious I don't think we have talked about this, what your opinion is. I think until you've closed probably about 75 transactions, you really aren't a complete agent. Like you haven't seen enough. There's
Not enough
enough bad stuff that can go down. I'm not saying that you close 25 transactions, you don't know what you're doing. Don't get me wrong, because you know a lot. My number is like 75.
I agree with you.
By the way, for loan people, 1,000. And they look at me and they're like, I'm
forbid.
there's 1,000 ways to whack up a loan.
Oh, man.
No, but and there's enough ways to learn about a private road maintenance agreement the hard way, right? I mean, all the different things that you learn as you go. What besides really getting the right person, what's the attitude they need to have? What skill sets? What are things they need to bring to the table? Tell me. Yeah.
I want to see an entrepreneurial, visionary pursuit. This is a business of being an entrepreneur. It's open-ended. You have no ceiling. You have no walls. You just have to be ethical and have, understanding of how real estate works and, the laws that, create real estate.
Got to pass your test and pay attention.
All of that. But beyond that, let's just establish that that's the understood baseline. Lots of people get their tests passed and all of that. That's just, you can get it's like passing your driver's test. Everybody has to do it. I'm not even speaking about that.
I just wrote down ethical entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got to think about, position your mind where you want to go with your life. This is your career you're talking about. How you're going to provide for yourself and what you're going to provide to this very full industry. We've already got every real estate agent we need right now.
And when you said career, I want to pivot for a second, and I want you to keep going. You got to go all in. None of this part-time stuff.
Oh, forget
full-time.
Okay. Anybody tells me part-time, they're not.
Like I want to keep working another job.
Work on my team.
Not going to work. Okay.
No.
And it's a big message for everyone to hear. And look, I understand, and Ernie understands. You have bills to pay, but one of the first questions I ask is, how much have you saved? Are you ready to go all in? Because you can't really be part-time.
This is not a part-time. No, this is. Working at the grocery store can be part-time, but this is a career, and there's no such thing as part-time. But the thing that is so important, Joel, is that they understand the vision and that we're already a full industry of personnel selling homes. So what are they
There's
going to
already
bring to
too
the
many
table?
of you.
So what are you going to bring to the table? Well, look, I'm Ernie. I know I'm different. And if you come to California and ask anyone about me in our city, oh yeah, Ernie Carswell. I have my own corner in that market, and it's a big city, and there's a lot of successful, good agents that work around that town, all of them huge superstars. They know me and how different I am from them, and I know everything particular about them that sets them apart. So coming into this industry, you better have a vision about how you, as an individual agent, are going to be set apart and what you're offering that the rest of us don't.
And it's something that you're saying, it's something you should be thinking about right away. It's not something that really
Day
even
one.
evolves.
Day
You should
one.
be thinking, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, you're going to have to get experience, and we're going to train you and
Right.
teach you all the details.
How to
but you better
contracts
have
and all.
that kind of vision, or you're not cut out for us. Just not good enough. You need to really be someone that's trying.
And that's probably, I mean, yes, that applies to you, but I would say that should apply to anyone. And I know that in
if we're going to survive.
in your business, there are a lot of brokers that will hire anybody that's breathing because they think maybe they'll sell their cousin's house and they'll sell a couple of houses and before they tap out. And I know you're looking for no one to tap out. You're looking for everyone to grow up, not just sell their parents and their cousin's house and then give up, which is very common. They get their license, they do 2 transactions and disappear. Right. So know your vision. Be what I'm calling be an ethical entrepreneur. What should someone expect in their first couple of years regarding actual working? I want to hear you say this. I know what I say. I want people to hear. What should someone expect when they're going in day one? What should they expect?
I'm going to tell you 6 days of full effort. Give yourself a day off. That's human.
It's not really off either, because if your phone rings, you're probably going to pick it up, right? I'm talking at the beginning.
That's right. This is the beginning.
Right.
If you really want to lift off in this business, you need to be first seeing all the product. First of all, become immersed in all the real estate homes you need to see. In a city like Los Angeles, we could keep you busy 5 days a week just doing that.
So I want to repeat that. Immersed in the real estate, Ernie, every time an agent tells me they're bored, I say, why don't you buy a tank of gas and start driving?
Exactly.
At least know the neighborhoods. That's exactly right. And it's not a message. It's not a message that is given enough. It's so interesting. In COVID, people didn't see each other, and then people started seeing each other. And since the beginning of time, if you want to make fun of agents, just make fun of the tour on Tuesday. Where all they are, they're all eating free food somewhere. Right. But if you understand what's going on, no, that's not what's going on.
Right.
They're looking at product, the good ones, and they're seeing the other people whose listing they might sell or might sell their listing. They're doing your job, actually. Right. It looks from the outside like, what are they doing? They're just eating free sandwiches. It's real. Some people are, but the good agents are not. They are seeing products. So immerse yourself in the real estate. That's great. What else?
Every time I go in a house, Joel, I've been in this business 37 years. Every time I walk in a house, any price point, any location, I learn something. I think of a client that I might want to be reminded of calling about. I think of an interior decorator. I think landscape development. Seeing product, that is our platform. You must know your product in your market. So that's primary. And you could occupy, especially your first 2 to 3 years of just learning a city like Los Angeles or DC.
Could be anywhere.
Yeah.
It could be Topeka, Kansas. You still have to know the neighborhoods.
Product. The other guidance I give every agent that joins me, if they're a true rookie, I say find 10 homes in this city at all different price points and become an expert on each of those homes. Know the architect, when it was built, what are the room dimensions, how many bedrooms, baths, how an acre, half an acre, small lot, big lot, condominium, whatever. Know 10 homes in your first year, and those are in your pocket every time you're having coffee with a friend or you're at the family dinner or something. If anyone starts to ask you about real estate, you can talk about any one of those 10 homes like an authority, because people expect, if you're in real estate, that you know something about houses and you can enter that conversation and talk about and have something to contribute. And that's how you begin to...
That's Very
have 10
good.
homes.
That's very good advice for not just new agents. That's for
Always
any
have
agent to be able
special
to
homes.
speak with authority.
Yes, about something you've seen, you've walked, and you know. And it will be interesting to your listeners. I'm telling you, that everybody in LA wants to talk about Hollywood or real estate. Those are the two most, and sometimes politics, but not today because that's just going to become table warfare.
Right.
So it's real estate and Hollywood. And you've got to be an authority about
But real estate, listen, real estate real estate drives everything. I mean, think of it, the nail in the wood.
Construction,
The wood. No, it's think about from the ground up, the developing the lot to pull the water to the sewer. Just think about everything that goes on in a house. Whether it was built or whether you buy it and then suddenly you're at, Home Depot spending $5,000 fixing it up. It doesn't matter. Like, what did you buy in there? Right. Who sold that? I mean, everything comes back to that. And then let's face it, it's where we live.
Right.
So it's where we spend the majority of our time. Well, it used to be in the office, but where we spend the majority of our time. So 6 days, this is what I say, Ernie. I say, you want to get paid like a surgeon, you got to do a residency, which means you need to live in the hospital for 2 years. And once you've lived in the hospital for 2 years, then you can pop out and start making some money. But for 2 years, prepare to suffer. Like literally, if you get a sale, good for you. But go in prepared. And one of the things for me now, which I do all the time, I do this, is I ask, I'm like, what do you got saved? Like, tell me what's going on. I don't want you to start here for 90 days and quit because you can't pay your bills. You need to be prepared. You need to invest in your business. So this immersed in the real estate market is big. I know it sounds very simple, everyone, but a lot of agents do not do this. They don't know their product at all. When someone mentions a neighborhood to you, if you're a real estate agent, if it's within, call it 15 miles of where you live, you should know the neighborhood. It's fine if it's 45, that's fine. But if it's anywhere close, you should know, oh yeah, is it a Center Hall Colonial over there or whatever? Right. You should know. And then pick 10 houses. Wow, what I'm looking at the time. But pick 10 houses. That's some sage, cool, easy advice. And by the way, everyone, Ernie said it real fast. It doesn't have to be a house, townhouse, condo, co-op. It doesn't matter what it is. Pick 10 properties, residential properties that people live in as their house. Become an expert on those 10 properties in your market. An expert, I don't know if Ernie went real fast. He said dimensions. I mean, expert. If you've ever seen people out there, an expert agent show a house, until you've seen that, you don't totally know what I'm talking about, but it is Ernie's job to know everything about that property. If someone asks a question, what's that? Oh, that's blah, blah, blah from Belgium or whatever it is. That's what that is. Or, oh, this is why they did the corners like that because, whatever it is. Now, a lot of people aren't going to know that when you start, but boy, this is an interesting way to teach yourself, even if not about these houses, what to know about houses.
It's
right?
getting the conversation started, and you're building awareness in whoever's listening to you that you take your job, seriously, and you know something. You've got the goods to sell. And that's the whole practice here of knowing product so that you are prepared for any conversation. Because every time I bump into someone, they say, Ernie, how's the market? Ernie, do you know any good houses?
Yeah.
Ernie, do you know a good deal? Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to constantly have those answers in my head.
Right.
And they change every week.
Right.
So, this is the kind of career, but I find it exciting, Joel. I mean, it's just unlimited. And I'm afraid that so many people entering our business don't understand the excitement of what we get to do and what we can know and how much we can be trusted. I just got back from Greece and a trip of other countries in Europe, and all the tourist places, we're looking at, people are clamoring to see how people lived thousands of years ago. We're looking at homes and huts where people dug out in caves and lived there. And you go to Pompeii, and the whole thing is how people lived just before the lava flowed over them. It's where people lived. That should make all of us in residential real estate feel pretty proud that for thousands of years, where people live matters. We're still looking backwards centuries to how people formerly lived. I want to elevate this career, and people can be proud of what we do. And, the situation at hand is I was always refusing to be on the reality shows because I saw them sort of derailing the professional demeanor of who we are as an industry at large. And finally, when this opportunity came to me, I started down the no road. Nope, I don't believe in that. Telling the producers, no, in fact, you guys are killing our industry. I'm sorry. Right. They said, no, Ernie, this is something different. We want to follow you, how you teach a former Playboy bunny who lived at the Playboy Mansion with Hugh Hefner, how to become professional in real estate. And I was intrigued by that. And I thought, I didn't say yes quickly, but the more I thought about it, I said, God, life has given me this opportunity to do something about what really concerns me. So that's the only reason I'm involved in that show. And I got to tell you, I'm proud of what we put out there because we are a different type of experience watching the show. Yes, Kendra has foibles and makes mistakes that anyone without a professional background may make, but she is sincere about succeeding, and she is succeeding. And that's why I feel we're championing sort of a movement back toward the respect of what a realtor does for their clients.
So I think it's a good way to end this. All of you out there that are thinking about getting into real estate or in real estate and you're sitting around, nothing is happening. I think you need to find yourself an Ernie wherever you are. And the guest that was in here before, Ernie, who's just one of my favorite people, corporate Fortune 5 company.
Wow.
She said her exact words were, have a growth mindset and a thirst for knowledge. And then if you get around the right person, she said, you're going to succeed every single time. And that's the same thing. You put someone with you that has that going on, you will make it your business to make sure they succeed, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
no
100%.
question.
So this is another episode of the Big Joel Show. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you got lots of good takeaways. Thank you, Ernie Carswell.
Thank you, Joel.
See you all later.